So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another episode of Is It That Bad? Where we take a look at an album that maybe got mixed reviews, and some people liked it, some people not. And for this one, because Kiss is on retiring again, JC, we should do Kiss. And I'm like, which album? 29 albums. And he gave me a list, and one of them was an album that JC described as their grunge album. I'm like, Kiss and grunge. That sounds like something that we need to talk about. So here's the album cover. It's called Carnival Souls, the Final Sessions.
Oh, it's so dark and 90s.
No, this album cover is funk.
You know what it reminds me of? You guys know how Rubber Soul by the Beatles has the photo like tilted askew?
Oh yeah.
It kind of feels that way here.
It feels like Soundgarden light looking at this.
Oh yeah, like Super Unknown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Down on the Upside, was it?
One of those early records, or at least a band photo even. Like the beard doesn't suit. I don't know the musician over there, but seeing them without makeup.
And if anyone would know, it's Chili.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Number one fan. Without beards, come on now.
So, a funny thing about this album, first of all, I want to welcome my panel. First of all, JC Rock and Metal Reviews. Thank you for suggesting this album to cover. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. My brother from down under, Chile. Like, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for suggesting this, by the way, JC. This was a interesting record.
Interesting is a good word. And finally, we have, obviously, Rock of All Ages returning, and he's got his full hat and shades. How are you, Rock of All Ages?
You said this is going up on Sunday?
On Sunday morning, yes.
Okay, well, in that case, it's going up on my 30th birthday.
Hey! Happy birthday in that case.
What better way to celebrate your birthday than with Kiss?
I could think of a few ways, but hey, we're here.
Yeah. Everyone in the comments, wish a happy birthday to Rock of All Ages.
Yes, and subscribe to my channel, please.
Yes.
F in chats, people.
And no, he's not a hoarder.
Yes, that's very important.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So I got before we go into the rounds and everything, I got some fun facts about this record. I wrote
fun facts, you say?
I went all JC. I'm like, history, man. Give me. So
lay him on us.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, Captain.
Aye, Captain.
The first trivia is, this is the final album with Bruce Kulick on guitar.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. The second one is last drums for Eric Singer until 2009's Sonic Boom. The third one, obviously, this is a no-brainer. This is Kiss trying to do grunge. A no-brainer.
Trying.
This is their fourth last unmasked album. And a fifth and one final one is they only had one single in this album called Jungle. And this album, they never played any song of this album live.
Never?
No, they never played.
Never?
I think Bruce Kulick played some of the songs on his own, like, separate project.
Yeah, but they completely never played anything this live. And this album was recorded, I believe, 1995, but it came out in 1997, and that's why I think
I think what Bruce Kulick said was like Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons were busy like trying to get the Kiss MTV Unplugged album to come out
And
Oh
they
yeah.
get together with their original.
and do the reunion tour.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I have a fun fact about this album, and I shared this in the email. This came out on October 28th, 1997, the same day as Around the Fur by Deftones, which I don't think I need to say is a much better album by a much better band.
There's no comparison, my man.
Which album cover do we prefer, Around the Fur or Carnival of Souls?
Fur, no question.
Well, Around the Fur is definitely more recognizable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to see the Kiss members sitting around a pool in their bikinis.
Oh God, no.
Gene Simmons showing you his hairy chest
Just tongue abound, like
and putting in his chest hair how many women he.
He's as hairy as how many women he's laid. That's it. Every time he gets with a woman, another chest hair just pops out.
So yeah, fun fact, kids. If you have any other fun facts, drop them down below. We're gonna do the first round where we give our first impressions of this record. Round number 2, where we can pick 3, maybe 4 songs. Dare I say, I wrote 4. So if anyone wants to pick more than 3, you are welcome to. And
Okay.
for that round, we're doing round 3, where we give our final thoughts on this record, and we give it a rating of a thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. So since JC is the one of this panel that is more knowledgeable of Kiss, we'll do JC, Chile, Rock of Ages, and then me. So JC, your first impressions on this album?
Okay. Yeah, well, as you all know, I've been a Kiss fan for a long time, one of the bands I grew up with. And I bought this album back in, I guess when it came out. I remember buying a cassette of it. And I thought it was, it was pretty good. It was interesting. I was into grunge at the time. It was very similar to like a Soundgarden or Alice in Chains. They're definitely going for that. But I think it's one of those albums that it has some songs. I think I like the front, like the first maybe 7 songs better. I think the ones I pick in the second round will probably be more towards the end. But I think it's just one of those kind of like love it or hate it types of albums. It's just that. So some people just don't think Kiss can pull off grunge, but there are some people who do like it. And I do remember back in the day, I listened to it a lot. I haven't listened to it in a while. I've gone back to it a few times because I've done Kiss rankings on my channel a few times. I think I did it like twice. So I have gone back to this, but it has some problems. It's kind of long. Some of the songs are long, like they kind of overstay their welcome. But there's it's the kind of album that you kind of like either love or hate it. So that's all I'll say for now. Yeah.
Nice. Good, JC. And another fun fact. In fact, this is Kiss' longest album at 60 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It is.
The average Kiss album, like in the 70s, their album used to be like 30 minutes.
Like 40,
And like
Yeah,
done.
'cause they were
40,
releasing it on vinyl.
They were like the Beatles, like those old Beatles albums are all like 30 minutes long. Like the
Well,
songs.
except for the White Album.
Well, yeah, of course. But I mean, like
double
the
vinyl.
average Beatles album, like when they were first released, they're only like they have like 14 songs in like 30 minutes. But the average Kiss album is probably like 30 to 40 minutes because they have short songs. But
Well,
it
and
was
also because they were releasing on vinyl.
well, that too. But remember, it's the 90s. Pretty much like vinyl was kind of dead at that time, and everyone was releasing on CDs. And every band, everyone from Guns N' Roses to Metallica were releasing these really super long albums that were over an hour long. So it was kind of like normal for bands to do this in the 90s because they were like fitting everything on one CD. Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
The new medium.
good first impressions, JC. So what about you, Sheely?
First of all, I'd just like to say, JC, what is your Kiss Army rank and file number, by the way? I see you repping the poster in the background as well. No, let's.
I got Kiss in the background. I got
You got the poster above you.
I got Kiss on my shelf right
He has
here.
the Kiss pinball machine. He has a copy of that Kiss movie with Scooby Doo.
I got some Kiss vinyl over there. I can pull it out.
He's all within arm's reach. Like, I'm ready. I'm
He
rearing
has
for
the
this.
Gene Simmons Pez dispenser. He has that one comic book that was written in their blood.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh,
I mean, I used to have a lot more stuff, back when I lived in New York. But I still have stuff. I have vinyl. Maybe I'll pull it out like mid round while you
yeah,
guys
fair enough.
go through your stuff. Yeah.
And the
But
first
like,
picture I saw from JC, he was dressed in Halloween as Kiss.
Oh yeah.
oh
And
yes.
I have that on my Facebook page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I knew this was perfect when JC selected this one because like I knew JC was massive into Kiss and stuff. It's like Motley Crue, I guess. You grew up on this stuff, didn't you, JC? So
Yeah. I mean, when I was
exactly.
like 9 years old, I would had these Kiss albums, and I thought it was like really cool. Just all these guys in weird makeup. Yeah. So
Yeah, they're very different at the time, I mean, for
yeah.
me, I guess when it comes to me and Kiss, like I'm not the biggest Kiss fan, but I do love their music. Like, the singles, obviously everyone's heard the singles at this stage. I've heard most of the albums from the 70s,
Yeah.
and that first Alive album, which, oof, damn, that is a really good album. But I never really did a deep dive in particular when it comes to like the 80s or the Unmasked era or anything like that. But, I know a lot of bands I listen to also love Kiss, took inspiration from the band. In particular, Jim Root, I think it is from Slipknot. He mentions them quite a few times in interviews. So, it's always one of those bands that's always been there, not on the outside, but not on the inside, I guess, of my circle. So I, kind of didn't know about this album or forgot about it, I suppose you could say. So I also want to add that my first real bite into the band is a bit unique because the band appears prominently in Tony Hawk's Underground video game series, and it's actually they actually have a bonus level in that series. It's called Hotter Than Hell, and it's focused on a live concert by the band in the Australian outback. And if you collected all the words Kiss throughout the level, then you could see an animated version of the band performing 3 songs and take the stage. So, you know, I kind of appreciated this angle of the video game doing something different and I guess exposing me to music that at this time I really wasn't going for. I was listening to Metallica and all these heavy metal bands, but Kiss wasn't really up there for me. But that changed my mind. I want to hear it in the comment section if anyone else had the same experience as well, because like I know Tony Hawk's is a massive experience when it comes to people my age
We're
and
asking the
getting into
commenters
certain
to
music.
say a lot.
Oh yeah. Like we were like F in chats, happy birthdays. Did you play Tony Hawk's? What Kiss memorabilia did you get? Did you get the Gene Simmons condoms? Like that kind of stuff.
And also, which Tony Hawk game has the best soundtrack?
Ooh, big. That's a big question. I'm gonna go with Tony Hawk's Underground. Yeah, I'm going with that one. I feel. But anyway, I guess I got confused when we proposed this episode as well because I thought we were going to cover Psycho Circus. Like Carnival of Souls, Psycho Circus. It's a very similar
Well,
sounding
Psycho
name, I guess.
Circus was the album that came out right after this one.
Yeah, correct. It's a
That
very
was a
similar
reunion, yeah.
title.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very similar sounding title to it, doesn't it?
And they did
Yeah.
on Psycho Circus. Actually, they came to Puerto Rico on Psycho Circus. That's not the time I saw them.
But yeah, that's I guess because it also came out like I think it's like a year later as well. Like anyway, it makes
Yeah.
me it made me completely forget about
Basically,
Carnival of Souls. Yeah, exactly. It's very close period. So yeah, look, I had a look into Carnival of Souls. It seems to be the album everyone forgets, and it's Kiss doing a grunge album that didn't really sound like a bad idea on paper. It kind of sounded interesting, but like I guess Hector said, I was raised on a diet of grunge, from around the age of 12. So, grunge, Kiss, this could be we could be onto something here. And when you listen to the first track, Hate, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of working. It's interesting. It was a bit derivative, but it's a decent track. And I thought we were up for a decent album. But the more the album progressed, I guess the more I questioned my life choices. So I guess that's my first impressions of the band.
Good one, man. What about you, Rockahollis?
I had heard a couple of Kiss albums already. Psycho Circus, Hot in the Shade, and I think Destroyer. Um, as I said, Carnival of Souls was the album that came out right before Psycho Circus, but I hadn't heard Carnival of Souls before. However, the more I researched the album, the more I was reminded of Motley Crue's self-titled album with John Corabi.
Yeah.
Like that album, Carnival of Souls got, shall we say, mixed reviews upon release, but has since developed a following. Furthermore, Kiss released Carnival of Souls, get this, 4 months after Motley Crue released Generation Swine. Now, Generation Swine was heavily promoted around Vince Neil rejoining the band. Just like how Psycho Circus was promoted in part around Peter Criss and Ace Frehley rejoining the band. I like to think Kiss looked at Generation Swine and said, let's not do that for Psycho Circus. Not that Psycho Circus was the best Kiss album, but it begs the question, if Kiss was once able to learn from Motley Crue's missteps, why did they stop?
I don't know, man.
But I digress. As Hector said, Carnival of Souls was the last album with guitarist Bruce Kulick. It was also the band's first new studio album in 5 years. And in that time, I found an interview with Bruce Kulick where he talked about making this album. And he said between albums, the band had become fans of bands like Alice in Chains and Radiohead. In fact, Carnival of Souls was produced by a guy named Toby Wright, who had worked with Alice in Chains on Jar of Flies and the Alice in Chains self-titled album.
Okay.
So that explains the Hector was saying, like, this sounds like an Alice in Chains ripoff, and I'm like, well, there's a reason for that. To be honest, Carnival of Souls turned out better than I expected. Dare I say, I thought it was decent, probably because they're imitating Alice in Chains, a much better
Yes.
band, making them one of many Alice in Chains imitators in the late 90s. They did, as Hector said, they did get a Radiohead out of this album, Jungle. And for some reason, that was the only single from the album. But Jungle was like kind of a hit regardless. Not huge, but like it made the top 10 on the rock airplay chart. So it has that going for it. But yeah, I'll say more about my bottom three in the next round.
Awesome. So my first impressions of this, the first song, I thought, yeah, this is okay, because I went with an open mind, because I was very curious of what Kiss would sound like a grunge band. But some of the songs here are too fucking long.
Yeah.
They sounded, Kiss for me on this album they sounded old. They sounded like old men trying to be relevant. And this is what I would call, like, they changed their, this is the funny thing. They did a cash grab of a grunge sound when grunge was already not popular. Like, this was popular at that time. Like, what the fuck, Kiss? Like you missed your boat. Like they're like, oh, I wonder what Gene Simmons. Oh, Rocky's dead. Let's do a grunge album.
I mean, in '97, like Bush and like post grunge was a thing, so I guess.
Yeah, but not the same level of like 92, 94. That's peak grunge era. This was new, like you said, Around the Fur came out that same day. So yeah, it was a new era, and yeah, I also thought the production on it, I don't know, sounded kind of weird at times, and I don't know who tells Gene Simmons that he's a good singer. The songs that he sings on are fucking atrocious. Like, the only thing he should do is party songs.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was kind of weird, like trying to listen to like Kiss doing grunge, because to me, Kiss is I Wanna Rock and Roll and Party All Night. And
Yes.
the other song I remember from their Unmasked is Lick It Up, Lick
Oh,
It Up, which could be a song about drinking some milk from a bowl.
definitely. It's
Yeah.
definitely about drinking milk. Got a cat drinking milk.
From the carton. So yeah, that's what I. So those are my first impressions. So let's go to round 2 where we pick 3 or 4 songs. So JC, which songs did you pick and why?
All right. So, like I said, mine are going to be more towards the bottom half of the album. My first pick, probably the worst song, In My Head. This one comes right after Jungle, I think. And this one it just doesn't go anywhere. It just has this plodding rhythm. And it has that same type of drum beat as the song God of Thunder. If you know that one, it's probably one of their heavier tracks, maybe one of my favorite Kiss tracks. But it has that plodding rhythm and it just doesn't go anywhere and it just kind of just drags along. So that's one, I'd say a weaker track. The next one, the song right after it, It Never Goes Away. This one, another one, it's just kind of slow. Like they're going for Alice in Chains. They're definitely definitely going for, like every song in here is either going for Alice in Chains or going for Soundgarden. This one's going for Alice in Chains, but they didn't really pull it off. I think it just like kind of like lacks the energy and it's just kind of like too, I don't know, like depressing. It just like didn't really work. And I'm going to pick the last song, and this one actually has Bruce Kulick on vocals, and this is his only lead vocals. But I think it just one of those songs that just, I mean, his vocals aren't that bad. I mean, they're okay. It's one of those songs. It just doesn't really have any hooks. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just not really memorable. They do like these like haunting atmosphere. They do this like almost like a Jimi Hendrix kind of reverse guitar kind of thing, but it just it feels like a filler track, like they probably like should have ended the album like a couple of songs ago, and instead of having like a 1 hour long, like they probably could have like chopped off a couple songs, and this would have been one of them. So those are my 3 picks. Yeah.
So solid picks, JC. What about you?
I actually picked 4.5 here. I just made a very quick note. It was in my head, that track. I just wrote that the master tape should be taken around the back and shot. And that's it. I don't like that track, yeah. Rain was one of the tracks. Oh, Rain. If Hate showed potential, then Rain was the sloppy wet fart that unfortunately follows up that song. The kind that really lingers and leaves a skid mark in your undies. It really makes you question whether you just shat yourself, kind of, like it's the wet fart that makes you really think, did I just get food poisoning? I think it's gonna rain. Down, down, down. I mean, they just blatantly copied Lane Staley's lyrics from Rain When I Die. And then they mentioned the first word from the next track off the Dirt album. I know you said that it was like produced by the guy who did a few Alice in Chains albums, but yeah, it's way too obvious. There's not even any, it's like 0.5 of a degree of separation here. It's not it's not very clever at the end of the day how they made this lyric, I guess. Even a 5-year-old listening to Mozart could decipher that one.
Yeah,
Go listen to that instead.
Oh yeah.
It just
Yeah.
happened to be on myself. Yeah, Dirt. Yeah, much better album.
Seduction of the Innocent is another one that I picked. Nope. Just nope. Is this song seriously about the church and possibly being a ring? Well, that seems a bit rich coming from Gene Simmons, I guess. This is the guy who has bedded over 6,000 women, apparently. But if you want to write a song that really protests about the church and really, this whole subject, listen to Insane Clown Posse and their track Crooked Preacher Killer. Yeah, this is just a mess for me. I think, JC, you mentioned I Walk Alone as well, didn't you?
yeah.
Did I? Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah.
Yeah, the last song. Yeah, that was one I mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a shitty closing track that was. Either go out with a bang or a ballad, it's Kiss. Like, that's what you got to do. But this song goes out like a wounded wildebeest. It just trods along, It's a basics written, kind of safe sounding tune. And it's way too long at the end of the day. Like, this is a common thing in this album, and everyone's mentioned it, I think. There are just tracks that are too long. The album is too long. Also, that reverse drum pattern was more annoying than the snare I heard on Saint Anger. I think that the song is I think the song is confused whether it wants to be a power ballad or some kind of sprawling big piece, but it fails at doing either and just falls in the crevice between. And my last pick has to be Jungle, which I'm surprised to hear was a single because according to at least Spotify's counts over here, I Will Be There was the biggest song off that album. It's got like 1.5 million plays compared to Jungle, which has about 500,000 plays. But, well, whatever. Bands be bands. Now, I have no idea what the band is trying to do here, but it's like listening to a mouse running on a wheel. And what is with those vocals? Down below. Yeah. I gave them a pass with Hate knocking off Alice in Chains, but this is pretty much a Frankenstein of facelifts, Confusion meets Sea of Sorrow, or some other tracks like that. If this is the jungle, then burn it. Burn it down, salt the earth, and perform some voodoo rituals to ensure that nothing comes back. And that's it for me.
I'm so glad that you didn't hold back, Shirley.
Oh, I held back.
Oh, I believe that.
It's now your turn, Rockefeller. Just
Real quick, I did the math. If Gene Simmons had sex with 6,000 women, then he would have had to sleep with one woman a day every day for over 16 years.
that's
Well, the guy's like 700 years old, so
Yeah.
it's nuts.
I would imagine his thing would fall off. Like I don't like what the heck.
It's got to be like a leather glove at this stage, surely.
Probably. Let's see. So I have two songs in my bottom three that were mentioned already. The first is Seduction of the Innocent.
Yeah.
Bruce Kulick has said that while he was proud of this album, he did wish it was mixed differently. I think he might have been talking about this song because the vocals are mixed a bit shoddily, let's call it.
Okay.
And then In My Head, the riff is a little weak and the lyrics aren't as interesting as the band probably intended. And then the last song that hasn't been mentioned yet, Childhood's End.
Oh, yeah. You really need your heart out.
Yeah. Vocals come close to ruining this one. And
Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't write that many notes for these songs, but yeah, those are my three.
That's all you needed to know. There's not much you can add to it.
Good one. So that would lead my picks. I also pick In My Head because Gene Simmons sucks singing, and also
And as a person,
I put it, and as a person as too, like I'm sorry, Rock Isn't Dead. And also, I thought that sounded like a bad version of Helmet.
oh my gosh, oh,
There's a band I don't think about enough.
Yeah,
they are so underrated.
yeah, they were just like how many bands from the 90s can we rip off in a bad way? Oh, Helmet, check. Now I'm going to talk about Rain. It's a fucking ripoff of an Alice in Chains song, and I won't fucking have it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's an insult to Alice in Chains. I was listening to it, and I'm like, I listened to this song, and then it clicked, like you said. I'm like, motherfuckers. I'm like, this is a ripoff of a song from Dirt, and in a bad way. Because,
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Paul Staley. You're not Lane, and like Lane's
Oh
fault.
hell no.
Like Paul, when I think of Paul, I just think of like lick it up and stuff like that. I don't think of him as a serious like type of songwriter, and he doesn't pull out that song.
No.
I also pick Childhood's End.
Mm-hmm.
It's just boring as fuck, and they even sound tired in that song. Remember, I said in the first round that they sounded old on some of these songs. This was one of them. And that damn kids choir. Oh,
You're not Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
oh yeah, but obviously they didn't pull it off. And my fourth song, because I picked four, was Jungle. Who the hell thought that this should be the single? Like the song doesn't, it's super long, it's like a 6 minute, and it has a horrible sloppy bass part.
Yeah, that bass sounds terrible that time.
I'm like, what the is that like Flea steroids dying? I'm like, what? Or Les Clay, it's a horrible bass line. And the song is too long and boring, but the bass line really put me off. And like the and like I said, like there's only one song with the word jungle in it that I want to listen to, and it's "Welcome to the Jungle" by Guns N' Roses. But this or Jungle Boogie, but this jungle
or Jungle Love. Oh, oh.
Anything that is
or In the Jungle, I think it's Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, it really baffles my mind that this song was picked as a single. If I had picked a single, I would have picked the first song, Hate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That would have been much better.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wasn't around there to tell them delete that. So yeah, we all picked some songs. So we're going to the third and final round where we give our final impressions and we give it a thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. So JC.
Okay, I'm going to be a little controversial here. I actually,
He's going to be generous, isn't he?
I'm not even going to be generous. It's I think I have kind of like a Kiss bias with this band, and I'm kind of like forgiving of what they do just because I'm kind of biased with this band. But I listened to this album a lot in the 90s, and I have just memories of just having it in my Walkman and just, riding around. I'm giving it a thumbs up just because I think I think the first half of it, it's, it's kind of fun. I mean, I can listen to it. It's just it's not something that I hate. I think it just drags. It's kind of long. There's weak spots towards the end, but I think it's still kind of fun. I mean, I think a lot of bands tried to pull off grunge in the 90s, and I think it's okay. Even I mean, it's a ripoff. I mean, it's almost like a tribute album of Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, but I think it's fun. So it's a thumbs up for me. I don't mind listening to it.
Don't worry, Jason. Your Kiss Army number is safe. They're gonna. Can you imagine if they see this video and then they email like, JC, what the hell? You're supposed to be in the Kiss Army. Look
Exactly.
for us. No one else here is in the Kiss Army. Keely, your final thoughts in both.
I'm just reading over here on my other screen. It's on Rachel Music, which is open to anyone commenting and making, all kinds of reviews. There's a sentence I think sums it up a bit. You wanted the best, then you'll have to look elsewhere, I'm afraid. So when it comes to this album, Carnival of Souls might be one of the most interesting chapters in the band's history, I think. And it's unfairly lumped in as another album during the Unmasked years. Clearly the band were going through changes after Revenge, but they had taken notes on the current music scene. Even, of course, been influenced by bands that are around during this time, like obviously Alice in Chains. So you can't listen to this album and not jump to the conclusion that it is a cheap knockoff to a degree of an Alice in Chains album. But I think that Jerry Cantrell would have really loved that they influenced Kiss, because I'm pretty sure Jerry Cantrell's a big fan of Kiss as well. So perhaps it was an identity crisis for the group. Maybe they were just seeing Neil Young reviving his career with Pearl Jam, and of course, his comeback, I guess, with Mirrorball, and thinking, why can't we do the same thing? So there's a little bit different, obviously, when it comes to that and Neil Young, because Neil Young is the godfather of grunge. Kiss is not the godfather of grunge. The godfather of party rock. Ted Nugent and all those kind of crews, you know what I mean? Like it's so far from what they were. It's a little bit different. I mean, they at the end of the day, Kiss are the original Cannibal Corpse paint dudes in their 40s at this stage. You know, you could put it as that way. But I bet Gene changed the style to try and capitalize on that genre. Of course, dollar signs in his eyes, as always. But they just arrived 5 years too late, or yeah, a couple of years too late anyway. They missed that boat altogether. And instead, there was a new genre kicking around the scene that was new metal. And you know, like Rock of All Ages mentioned, obviously Around the Fur came out on the same day as this album. And it kind of makes me wonder, it would be funny, at least in my mind, I'm thinking about this, if at the record release party the band just snuck away and bought a copy of Around the Fur, started listening to it and had a moment of realization like, did we miss the boat? Is this the new thing?
Now you're making me think, what if Kiss tried to make a new metal album?
And that's what I wrote as the next point. Can you be I think the world's thankful that they only did a grunge album and not a new metal phase. Could you? What would be the name of their new metal album if they had to do one?
Uh, Probably something we can't say on YouTube.
No. Yeah. Lick It Up, spelt like, you know, like Limp Bizkit or something like that.
L-I-K-K.
Yeah, L-I-Z-K or something like that. Yeah. Maybe we dodged a bullet there, unlike Motley Crue did. So, ultimately, this album suffers the eternal sin of just being a very boring record. It feels like one of those demo CDs that record stores used to give out for free. You know, the ones like with local bands, and they had 2 songs on them, and you'd be listening to it, and you'd be like, oh, yeah, this is cool, I guess. But at the end of the day, it was a free record. Of course, you're going to take it, yeah? This is what it sounds like, except it's 12 tracks, and it's a 60-minute album. It's just got shitty local band vibes going for the entire duration. And it just goes way, way too long. At the end of the day, I was looking at it going, the songs that I do like are pretty much the only reason I do is because they're Alice in Chains, just knockoffs. But at the end of the day, you know, I guess this sounds very devoid of fun, and that's what's missing when it comes to Kiss. Is the band is about fun. They're very much out of their element, is what I'm trying to say. You know, we want Kiss, but we want them to have girls and just be fun and party rock anthems. At the end of the day, they should have been nowhere near the grunge territory. It's just a misplaced genre that they just stumbled upon. So for me, it's got moments. Some of the tracks are really bad. It's too long, but I'm going to give it a pass. It's not horrendous.
Have a song and a pump sideways. What about Ages?
I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by this album. Bruce Kulick has said that even at the time, fans were really divided on the album. Like, some of them thought this was a terrible album. Some of them thought it was the best Kiss album. And I think that that consensus, or lack thereof, does still exist to this day. Like, this album does have fans. I agree, it was a little too long, but I still had to look pretty hard to find 3 songs I disliked. I mean, there were songs like Flaws, but you know, you can look past that sometimes. When I'm able to say I had a hard time looking for 3 songs I disliked, that's usually a pretty good sign. So, I mean, look, I'm not gonna argue with Hector and Chili on what the album gets wrong, because like, we're talking about Kiss at the end of the day. But I'm gonna give this album a thumbs up.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So 2 thumbs up and a thumb sideways. So I gotta be honest with you. I think this album sucks. There's nothing good about this album. It's boring. It's a blatant ripoff of bands, and not that well. So to me, Kiss and grunge don't mix. I mean, when I think of Kiss, I think they're fun songs. That is where they're strong suit. And I hate Gene Simmons. I think he's a total dude.
Oh yeah, he's a complete dick.
And this is a blatant cash grab 3 years too late. So unfortunately, I can't give not even a sideways. This is a complete thumbs down for me. It was a painful listen, and I don't want to listen to this crap ever again. But it is safe because we have 2 thumbs up and a sideways and a thumbs down. So it is safe. And I actually saw online. So within this panel, the album is not that bad. For me, it's atrocious, but since this is democracy and we all voted, it's safe. But it's because like Chile was almost in the thumbs down. But yeah, and I saw that it had mixed reviews. Like I think it's like JC said, you either love this album or hate it. There's not like an in between for this record. But I would say,
I mean, Chile gave it an in between.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think there is an in between. It's just broad, very broad.
Yeah, indifferent.
I just really was very bored with this album, and I can't stand blatant rip-offs that are not good.
Right.
And especially that Rain song. When you're like, it's almost word for word what Lane was singing. So that to me, I'm like, no. And if you see my channel, I love Alice in Chains, and I grunge, but I like good grunge, not like like an old man type of grunge, not doing it good. So yeah, to me it's a thumbs down, but it is safe. But I was watching the reviews, and yeah, even people on my Facebook that I know that love this album, and then there was other that's like, no, it's their worst album. They should have been grunge. So it's a pretty divisive album. But what I would say is like, if you're starting new with Kiss, I wouldn't start with this album. JC, what are if you want to get into Kiss or listen to, like, what albums would you say you should listen to first?
Mid-70s, Destroyer. I would say Destroyer, Love Gun, Rock and Roll Over, everything from like maybe like the first from like 1974. The first album was even good. The self-titled Hotter Than Hell. Probably everything up until Dynasty, which is the one which I also like, but they kind of like
album
went a little that's they call it a disco album. There's maybe a couple songs that are disco. There's some rock songs. There's like a Rolling Stones cover. I kind of like that. I actually do like that. But that one, they kind of like go in a different direction. And everything after that is kind of, it's kind of all over the place, because then they're just going like with the trends. Because after that, like they did a weird album called The Elder, which is kind of like a weird prog album. But then they just went full glam, like throughout the entire 80s. They took the makeup off. And then they went from glam to this one, the grunge, and then their stuff in the 90s is just not good. Everything after this album is just not really great. It's just kind of very generic. But their first, maybe like the first 7 albums or whatever it was, up from 74 to 78.
Yes,
Those
Hotter Than Hell,
are all
Dress
good
to
albums.
Kill.
Oh, you're including the solo albums?
The solo albums, not really, except Ace Frehley. The Ace Frehley solo is awesome, but the other ones are not great.
Okay.
So the solo album just Ace Frehley, and I would actually stop at the solo album. So 1977 would be Love Gun. So stop at Love Gun.
I'm going to listen to Love Gun after this.
Love Gun is a great song. I'm telling you. For people that watch this, I do not hate Kiss. I didn't like this album, but I've seen Kiss in concert, and when they play their old stuff, it's fun. But yeah, this was a cash grab for me. But yeah, it's safe. So coming up next, for Is It That Bad? We're gonna talk. We're going from grunge to rap rock. We're
What
talking
the fuck?
Hollywood Undead, Day of the Dead, from 20. Rockefeller Ages. Do not spoilers, man.
Do a Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
No, God, no.
That episode is going to be JC, Rockefeller Ages, and Bianca from the band Lilac Stranger. She agreed to this.
She is a saint.
God bless her soul. So I want to thank my panel for joining. JC, thank you for when you mentioned, and you also mentioned that they have a rock metal album. I think in sometime in the future we gotta listen to Kiss Prog.
That would be so fun to talk about.
I'm down for that. I
We'll
love
we'll
prog
talk
rock.
with the prog one because I want to listen to what Kiss as a prog band sounds like it's because I think grunge because disco was just too easy.
I just never listened to that album because it looked like the Spinal Tap album cover, like Smell the Glove. It just always reminded me of that.
I mean, there are moments where Kiss kind of become like self-parody, so
Oh yeah.
So Jay, thank you for joining and being a good sport, and obviously you here are the most knowledgeable of Kiss. Thank you again for joining, and anything special you got coming up on the channel?
Probably just new releases that are coming out this weekend. The new Epica album, which I guess should be out by the time this video comes out, because I recorded it all. I just have to finish some of the editing and upload it. So it should be out by the time this video's out. Yeah.
Awesome. So obviously, Sheely from Live Listen Erase. Dude, when are we doing a new? We haven't done a Live Listen Erase in ages.
No,
yeah,
I was thinking about the
controversial
other day.
artists, yeah.
And the controversial artist one's overdue. I've got to figure that out. We'll have to do it after May sometime. Just because the way, I've got some stuff going on. I'm going overseas in May, so I've got a lot of things that I've just tried to push and get it done before I go away. So I've got like 3 retro reviews coming out during that time, maybe 4. And I've got to record one more. And I've also got 2 episodes coming out as well for ranking of albums from worst to best. You couldn't think of the most stark comparisons here, but Limp Bizkit and Led Zeppelin. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
so that's gonna. But no, we should get together and do some controversial artists because I know Rob keeps sending me emails as well, like, oh, we should add this group, we should add this group. I think we should do a special episode on Eric Clapton alone for a controversial episode.
yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm trying to think how to do it, but
John Lennon.
oh yeah, that's a good one. We could do another episode onto himself. Yeah.
Oh,
Very
wait,
good
did you
choice.
talk about him already?
No, I don't think we did.
Oh, there's an idea.
That's a whole episode right there.
What about Yoko Ono?
Yoko Ono can be incorporated.
Could be.
That's a controversial artist. Turn off her mic.
Yeah. So yes,
Don't turn mine off.
no. So subscribe to Sheely's channel, and finally, Rock of All Ages. His channel is more like a podcast, and he knows like what song was #1. He's like an encyclopedia of that. So what are you coming up next on the channel, man?
Later this month, I am doing a top 10 songs of 2017 with Señorita Sabrosura.
Ooh.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, do that. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. This weekend, I already filmed some reviews. One is I filmed one for the latest Mesa album, but I did a boo-boo on that review.
Yeah, he told me about this.
I wrote and I interviewed the band, and I said the name of the singer from Mesa is named Sarah. But in the review, I don't know why, on my notes I wrote Sophia. Like 5 times.
Minor gripe.
I cannot tell you how many times I messed up in recording and had to re-record a correction.
Yeah, but it's already out, and someone wrote to me, oh, her name is Sarah. I'm like, But if you're watching this, on the other review I did this weekend, I did a band called Exile Hope. And the funny thing is, the singer from that band is actually named Sophia.
Oh, fuck.
So maybe you got that mixed up in your head?
Maybe I got it mixed up in my head. And
Well,
at
least you didn't make the boo-boo I did with my Under Oath 5-minute review called the album Voyeurism, for fuck's sake.
Oh, God. That's a big one.
Yeah. I think I did. I don't know.
Sometimes we're human, man. we make mistakes.
Exactly. It was a Freudian slip. I mean, no, it wasn't, but you know.
But Sophia 5 times. I counted it. I'm like, like if I said it once, I kept saying, oh, Sophia, her vocals. So I had to write like a disclaimer on I'm like, I messed up the name. But it's a great.
Hey, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked Mesa out, that album, the Sting, is amazing. So check that one out. So we'll see you next time for Hollywood and I have some ideas running on my head of episodes to cover. I'm thinking, obviously, Randy Macho Man Savage, and I don't know why today I thought I would like to revisit that Cisco album with the funk song.
Oh, interesting.
that would be a good one too.
You know, he's from Baltimore, which is where I live.
What? He's from Baltimore.
Invite him to the episode.
I don't have his number, but I'll see what I can try.
You got his thong though, don't you?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So we're rambling on, Coucher. So until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and we'll see you all on another episode of Is It That Bad? Thank you and goodbye.